Chapter 51, 1974, Payne and Jeff Lane. Upon my return to New York, I ran into a friend, Jeff Lane, whom I had known since my gospel days. He had found a group called King David's House Rockers. They later changed their name to B.T Express. B.T stood for Brooklyn Trucking, a little-known fact even to the insiders in the music business. He asked me to help groom them for the studio with the promise that as his company grew, I would grow along with it. We spent many hours rehearsing, and when they were ready, we went into the studio and cut an album. I guess I did right by them because one of the songs we recorded was Do It Till You're Satisfied. It was an instant hit. Jeff took me to meet the other members of the organization, and they had promised me that if I stuck with them, I would grow with the company. I had never used lawyers in all my years in the music business, believing that if someone gave me their word, it was okay. Still, I had gotten burned, and when I expressed my concern with the man who ran the publishing end of the business, he said, "Oh, don't worry, my lawyer is your lawyer. He's working for all of us." He gave me the lawyer's card and told me to feel free to call him. I was tired of teaching my skills and seeing everyone else end up wealthy while I came away with nothing. Tash Howard, who was in charge of the publishing, gave me a contract. He said they couldn't give me a weekly salary yet, but if I needed $400 or $500, I could get it. I had signed numerous contracts during my career. Although I could read and understand them pretty well, I took my contract home, crossed out things I didn't like, and put question marks on things I didn't understand. I took the contract back to Tash, and he said he would get his lawyer to explain the part I wanted clarified. That was my big mistake. I should have gotten my own lawyer. He explained that the things I wanted out of the contracts was for the protection of the company, which was a lot of bull. It was such an awful contract that it stated that I would pay half the cost of the demos on songs I wrote and didn't even guarantee me a weekly salary. However, there was a $500 check waiting for me that I desperately needed, so I signed. The company promised to record me. I was a better performer than many they had on the label. Several times I played songs for the company that I had written for myself, and many times they talked me out of it. Their story was, "Let us use this song for this one or for that artist, and we will record you next." When the time came for me to record, there was always a favor owed to someone, and they would beg me to step back long enough for them to get the favor off their back. I finally realized that they didn't want me to have a hit record because I was doing the work of 3 people for them. I wrote, I arranged, I coached, I played, I sang, all for practically nothing. After my first year, I got my income statement, and it showed that I owed the company $4,000. Although Do It Till You're Satisfied went gold, I had written 3 songs on that album. They gave me 3 gold records, but they kept the gold. Tash Howard really done a job on me and had taken advantage of my trusting nature. I thought he was in my corner. When he wanted to pick up the option on my contract, I asked to be released until he could give me a better one. The next one he offered was slightly better, but not good enough, so I turned it down. He said I wouldn't get any more money until I signed a new contract. I still refused and felt that he was going on the assumption that pressure from my family situation would eventually cause me to buckle under. The only thing they did till they were satisfied was me. At this point in my life story, you probably figure that I'm one dumb son of a gun. That was my biggest fault in my life, was always trusting people, sometimes people who didn't have my best interests at heart. And yes, they caused me a lot of pain and loss. B was trying to get me to give it all up and just get a regular job. "Hey, I'm an artist," I said. "I have to do what I was born to do. If a person doesn't use their God-given talent, what should he do?" "You've been trying this for 20 years, she said. The kids will be grown by the time you succeed. So be it, I replied. If I never get where I deserve to be, then they can still say that their dad went down fighting. I thought to myself, I have taught, coached, groomed some of the greatest talent in this country. There's a place for the mood ring, the pet rock, the dust from Mount St. Helens. That even was a place for Tiny Tim. I know there's got to be a place for me. I refuse to be denied. I went back to Tash Howard in order to check with the accountant. There had to be a mistake in my statement. By this time, he had discovered that he had cancer and wanted to try a list of so-called healers. His partners had persuaded him to see a doctor in Europe, and they went with him in order to search for a cure. On his way out of the hotel one night, he stepped off the curb and his neck snapped. He returned to the state in an iron lung, and after a few months he died. The company had grown by leaps and bounds, but they didn't keep their promise to me. I figured that they had beat me out of at least 30 grand, and I wanted my money. The people who replaced Tash said that they knew nothing about our deal, and since I had no paper on it, there was not going to be one dime coming my way. I was furious. I'd given 2 years of my life helping this company grow. I had gone out of town with artists they had coming up for recordings and just sit or hang around them and be able to write something that fit them perfectly. Few people in this business could do that. I found a group of kids from Brooklyn that I wanted to produce myself because I heard something special in their sound. I took them to the company and they signed them behind my back. They assigned another producer to them and then, to keep me pacified, asked if I would become a member of the group. That did it for me. That was the last straw. I sat home and brooded a couple of days. I got angrier as the days went by. They can't get away with it, I said. I'm going to get even. I'm not going to take any more abuse of my talent. B and I had stopped talking, which added to my anger. I knew I had to get them back. I vowed never to be misused again. From this day forward, I will get what I feel I deserve. I will never let another person tell me what I'm worth. I will never again deal with a company without having my own lawyer.